Hey, everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel. She is Hope. This is episode 118. Welcome to the third episode of our pizza arc, as we've been calling it.
You didn't introduce Marvin.
Oh, Marvin is here as well. He likes pizza. I had pizza today and yesterday.
You had pizza today?
Yeah, I ate the leftover pizza from yesterday.
Oh, the room temp pizza?
Yeah. So we don't have a lot of pizza stuff for you, but I will say we're going to talk about the Mothman Festival. So if you were going to make a Mothman pizza, and I know
Mothman pizza exists,
and I know places do it, but if you were going to make a Mothman pizza, what are you putting on this pizza?
I would just do like the cheese, and then I would do 2 pepperonis for like the eyes.
And everybody's just like Hunger Games over who gets the pepperoni slices.
And then I would take some green peppers chopped up, and I would kind of make that like the outline of the body. You asked me how I would make a Mothman pizza.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
So you're making the design of the Mothman on the pizza with the ingredients.
Yes.
Okay.
What would you do?
I'm going normal like pepperoni or normal pizza base, regular pizza sauce, regular pizza cheese. And then I'm just doing like so many black olives that it's like the pizza's black.
Yuck.
With pepperoni underneath it.
You wouldn't even eat that.
I might.
I don't think so. We'll go to like specialty pizza places, and he's like, I just want pepperoni.
Listen, pizza got perfected. Pizza, a nice crust, a nice tomato-based sauce. Don't give me this barbecue crap.
I like a white pizza sometimes.
No. Cheese. And yeah, I think people can can play around with the cheese.
Pizza?
You can play around with the cheese a little bit, but generally there's some mozzarella on there. And then pepperoni it's unbeatable.
I agree pepperoni can be good, but I'm like Kevin. A lovely cheese pizza just for me can hit. We weren't supposed to talk about pizza again.
I told you this was going to be the third episode of the pizza arc. The people want to talk and hear about pizza.
Okay.
Speaking of the Mothman Festival.
We
went to that this weekend.
We are locals to where the Mothman originates from. So most locals during the festival, you kind of make sure it's like a hurricane prep. Like you got to make sure you have your snacks, your supplies. You don't have to go out anywhere. You kind of barricade yourselves in for the weekend. It's not that, some locals might not like it very much because they're killjoys. But most people, I feel like we know it's great for the town. But when you have literally one road, there's only one main road in town. That is it. It makes travel rather difficult when the epicenter of town is taken over by more than what the population of your actual
three times what the population of your city is.
So most people that are local, and we make sure that you Friday, even Friday it starts to fill up, even though the festival officially starts Saturday. So Thursday, usually you want to make sure that you have everything. You're ready to go. We, however, decided that we wanted to check out the festival action, but not, have to go in the craziness of town, find parking. So I had the brilliant idea of incorporating the festival into our run and making us run longer than we have in, probably months. And we would have done that. They didn't do the Mothman 5K in person this year. It was just virtual. So I guess we could consider this part of our, unofficial Mothman 5K plus extra miles run. And yeah, we ran from the gym, started our normal route, and had a little adventure, didn't we?
I think we had the authentic Mothman Festival experience.
Yeah.
We ran through Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is the town where the Mothman has haunted for many years. We went off because our normal running.
He protects the town.
Yeah, because
he warns of disaster.
I agree. Yes, I agree. Because our normal running route was blocked off by some construction. We ended up having to go down a special route by the train tracks. Saw a burnt out building that's been in complete disrepair.
It was kind of cool.
The kind of place that a Mothman may hang out occasionally. And then we got down to the festival.
Yeah.
And the festival was so busy. even we got there, about 10 o'clock on Saturday?
We were there in the morning. We have, right before we kind of left, because we got down in and we stopped the watch for the run because there's no way we could have ran. I mean, we could barely walk. It was just bumper to bumper. We went and saw a friend that we knew was set up there, and we did kind of like, we weren't really able to shop. I had to miss out on goose clothes.
Darn.
I would have carried those goose clothes for like 3 miles for the run
you
back.
Or you would have carried them for like 500 feet, and then you would have made me do it.
We all know that. Whatever. So Miss Goose had to miss out some outfits, but perhaps next time. But yeah, right before we left and got back on the riverbank, the timestamp of the photo you took of the crowd shot was 10:20 a.m.
Okay.
I feel like normally a lot of people, I think a lot of people try to get parked around 9:30ish, but 10 seems to be kind of where most people descend upon the festival. It already felt like if you had told me oh, this is 2:00 in the afternoon,
yeah, it was
peak
busy.
festival time, I would have believed you.
Yeah, it was very packed. And I even feel like from the moment we got there, because we came in on the flood wall, and you really can't tell anything's going on until you get right on top of it, and then suddenly it's like, whoa.
And you turn that corner, you get down to actual Riverfront Park, and you start seeing all the tents with the vendors. Then you see all the people.
Yeah.
Then when we turn out of Riverfront Park into kind of the main hub of the festival, where a lot of especially the food vendors are, you're like, wow. But it was even crowded on the side by the riverfront.
I was just saying, from the time we got there to the time we left, felt like it just had kept getting busier as we were standing around looking at stuff.
Well, they said there were guests from the UK that showed up. A lot of people come from all over the country. Of course, people from West Virginia come, but I think that I'd say it's more out of town people that come to this event. They said this year was record crowds. I absolutely believe it. The weather was good. I think last year we actually skipped out of the festival entirely because the fields was in the hundreds. So we stayed. We sought shelter and stayed in our home all last year. But it was really fun to go back, experience the festival. If you're into the cryptid creatures, the Mothman Festival is one to not be missed. I don't think it's the biggest festival in West Virginia. I think the Forest Festival in Elkins is known as the biggest festival in the state, which I've never really gone to that except for in high school. When we would have the state meet at Elkins, we would run the cross-country meet during the Forest Festival. But I'm like, oh, they had more than, I thought it was just a cross-country thing. I'm like, oh, that's a week-long event, so maybe someday we'll go back. I don't know. Have you ever been to Elkins, West Virginia? Very hilly.
Is that where Wesleyan is?
No, that's Buchanan.
Okay. I may not have been there then.
The Elkins cross-country course, you run through a creek twice. It is literal the epitome of cross-country. But apparently that's the biggest one. But I know, I was trying to find where Mothman Festival ranked, and I couldn't really find a cohesive list. But it was definitely on a lot of lists as the most, anticipated, one of the ones that keeps growing, and I definitely see why. But yeah, I'm team Mothman served as a warning.
Yeah, Mothman was trying to warn everybody against the tragic events that were being perpetuated by the men in black.
Yeah.
Who were actually there to cause harm, even though they said they were there to investigate the Mothman.
Speaking of the Mothman, the screenwriter for the Mothman Prophecies movie that was not actually filmed in Point, because we are a one-street town. I wish they would have used more B-roll, to use your expression, for the movie, but I can see why they didn't, because town would have been shut down for 6 months or whatever. But he was there. This was his first time attending the festival. He said he'll definitely be back. He's also written episodes of Supernatural, a podcast favorite show. I don't think we've ever talked about Supernatural on the podcast, but that's a favorite of your podcasters. We love Supernatural.
Yeah.
I think Grimm, that's a show I don't think you've ever watched. It's I feel like Grimm is sort of in the vein of Once Upon a Time, and I think he's written some episodes of that. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like I read that. But even he was there. So they had a whole group. We have talked about Fallout, the show, on this podcast. And I saw when we were walking around, I feel like Daniel was in his oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed by all the crowds. Just
you got a pretty good picture.
You don't get out much.
You got a pretty good picture of me.
Yeah, too. I'll post that on the Instagram, guys. Everyone go check out our Instagram. Go follow. What is it? I should know this. We Watch TV podcast.
Yeah.
on Instagram. I'll put that
You
up
should
there.
know this.
I should know this. I should be a better host.
It's a good podcast.
Go follow that. I'll put that picture of Daniel with kind of like deer in headlights. You're a basement dweller. You don't get out much. But I noticed them, and then you were like, oh, I didn't really see that. And then you saw the group pictures. There's like, I guess, a group of people in West Virginia that, because they're one Fallout.
There's some sort of club. I'm not entirely convinced whether or not it's West Virginia only or just nationwide.
Everywhere.
But because one of the Fallout games
took place in
Fallout
West Virginia.
76 was based in the state of West Virginia.
And in Point Pleasant
But
specifically,
Point Pleasant
right?
is a location, and the statue is there, and the museum is there, and everything. So that kind of the Mothman Festival has kind of become a de facto like meeting point for these groups of Fallout fans now.
Well, I saw 2 of them dressed up, and I was like, oh, people are dressed up like Fallout. And then I saw the group picture later. They even had what I call it, like the armor, the robe, or something. They even had that
like
person.
the big armor that the guy in the show wore. Yeah,
so many costumes. We were worried we would look silly in running clothes. No, we blended right in. But yeah, if you're near the area, if you're far, worth a trip. Just know that we don't even have cell service on a good day when no one's in town. So that's something they actually had. I think, as you said, a booster to try to help.
had a booster set up. It wasn't doing anything, but
a lot of good food, which we didn't get to eat, but we got to smell. We're like the ghosts in the show Ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
We got to smell the food. Now, we did go get food after, though. We went to, like, everybody kind of gets in on it now. Like, even towns that are like an hour away, I've noticed they've been doing like, because people go stay there for the festival, like Mothman specials. But we have a coffee shop kind of on the northern end of town that you're not really in the downtown festival action. And we got Mothman cookies after our run and Mothman cold brews after our run. So we were on theme. And then Sunday, we did not go to the festival. We
escaped.
We stayed inside and watched football and ate pizza, I guess. Once town had cleared, you went out and got the pizza.
Yeah. Once I knew it was over and safe to go through there, I went to get pizza. Because everything, like, for everybody who's like, how could you possibly be trapped in your town? We're not trapped, but
it would take like
everything that is like within a 20 to 30 mile radius of things that we would want to go do is that direction, either in there where you wouldn't want to be, or past it. And the only way to get to that stuff is to go over 2 bridges to get to it. And it's just like the traffic is an absolute nightmare. We can get out other ways, but it's stuff that's farther away. We're talking, 40 miles, 50 miles. And also it takes 30 minutes to get to a highway if you go the other way.
It's just the small town life for you.
Literally, like, no joke, our town is a one-town road. Yeah. And so when you get a huge event like this taking place, what did I call it over the weekend? The apex predator of the holiday calendar.
I was like, I really want to go at least see the goose close. I'm like, and I know we'll have to pay to park. And I know we'll have to, but I really just want to see what they have. And you're like, you want to go into the apex predator right now just for a goose outfit. Yes.
Yeah, because like I saw pictures of the bridge back up, and it was like, so we have, to get into our town, if you're coming from Ohio, you got to cross the Ohio River, but then you also have to cross the Kanawha River. And so I saw traffic on the bridge, the Silver Bridge, that's the one coming from Ohio, not the second bridge. It was already like congested. It was a mess. Like that direction out of town, you just weren't moving. So that's why we kind of barricade ourselves in.
But it is really great for the town. It's fun. Love me some Mothman Festival. I love that it gets bigger and bigger every year. I believe that when it started in I think the early 2000s, they said it was literally like in a room, and it's grown. I know when I used to be a local reporter, I covered it. There would be people that would come in, but it is like compared to how it even was back then, just like tremendous growth.
Speaking of your local reporter, we got a really good picture. We got a really good picture. They have a mural, and it's kind of hidden. I don't see a lot of people like posting it. There was nobody back there when we went back there. Ladies
that are listening, you know how in Nashville they have like the angel wings that you can get pictures with, or fairy wings or something? This is what it's like with the backdrop, but it's Mothman wings.
And it has the newspaper, the old newspaper of town on it as well. And we always like to get that picture, not just because it's cool mural, but also because you actually worked for that newspaper.
I did. I once worked for that newspaper. which really brings us, speaking of the Mothman, the newspaper, I could write a tell-all. Do you know one time, I feel like I've been gone from there long enough, I could start spilling some tea.
Yeah.
I had this dude show up with a sketch, and he's like, I just want you to know that the Mothman is a woman now, and the Mothman's changed a lot, and he was serious as a heart attack. I had that happen. One time I had somebody bring this okay, so I know I'm West Virginia, but we always joke that I'm more like, I grew up on the border, which is still where we still live, but more of a more city-ish, if you will, town than Daniel. So I'm not really into like hunting culture. And I remember, and you're like, what could be worse than a Mothman sketch and someone coming? No, when someone's like, hey, can you come get a picture? We just got done hunting, and we got like, I think he caught it like a 10 point or something, 8 point. I don't know. I don't really know what that means even. I think it's like something with the antlers. And I was like, oh, okay. They like literally like had the dead deer in the back of their truck holding it up, and they wanted me to get a photo of it. And I'm like, well, welcome to the show. Like, so
this was pretty early.
That was
in
very
your time
early.
here, and you weren't quite like you're. I think you're more accustomed to that kind of
Yes.
shenanigans now.
Well, like when they took me for my first time, like I always thought like the fair was just a place for rides.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize like how involved like the animal side of the fair was, and they had me cover. They call it the sale, and I was like, what are they selling? I was like, what do they do with it? Like, are they like giving them like pets? This one's going to this farm, and then I realized like, oh, yeah. So that was all early in my the Mothman changing though. I feel like that was that was in the later days. So when it comes to local news, I understand it. I feel it. I know I've lived it, and this is the perfect segue into the paper, which premiered on Peacock, I believe, September 3rd. They dropped all 10 episodes. And they're also, I just read, going to start putting the episodes on NBC in November. I'm guessing they'll do a weekly release for that. The paper has already been confirmed to get a season 2. So for those of you that don't know, the paper is a spinoff of sorts set in the same universe as The Office, you could say.
Well, it's the same documentary crew.
Yes, the same documentary crew.
Yeah, so I think we're going to cover the whole season here, and for that reason, we're going to talk right now a little bit about some things we liked in a non-spoiler way, and then everybody, we will kick in. If you haven't watched the paper yet and you want to, and you don't want to be spoiled, we will let you know when it's time that we're going to hit some spoilers up. But just right off the bat, I really enjoyed this.
I loved it. I'm not one of those people. I did not want a carbon copy of The Office.
Right.
I can watch The Office and enjoy it whenever I want. It is in the same tone of The Office, which I enjoy, but that's where I've seen some complaints. They're like, oh, we wanted it to be like just like The Office or have all the Office characters in there, and I don't think that's necessary. And I really enjoyed it because, like I said, I've lived this life.
Yeah, I think
working for a struggling paper, so it resonated with me for that alone.
For both of us, because while you were the newspaper person, I was right there with you.
You lived me coming home at like midnight after council meetings.
Yeah, and so I think both of us, it probably resonated a little bit more with us than it might with other people. But I know you were like, within the first opening shots when she was talking about how she like pull stories from the AP.
Yeah.
You were just like pointing at the screen and just like almost having flashbacks.
It was almost like PTSD in a way, but also funny. I think, though, while we both, I have a personal experience to it, I do think it's really funny as well, and I think the characters do get more fleshed out. Honestly, I'm like, I could have had them go more into, like, talking about the paper itself, but I think I understand why they didn't do that. That would be like them talking about all the ins and out of just a paper company in the original Office.
Well, and I think too they've got room now that we know they have a second season.
Absolutely.
They've got storylines like we both talked about. There's got to be an episode about obituaries.
Yeah,
because that was just such an everyday struggle that you went through.
Well,
with obituaries and reading them as they come in and proofreading them and then getting criticized about them.
When the criticism was always fun because you don't actually like write the obituaries. The family does, or the funeral home people do, and sometimes people would be like, you forgot some name, and I'm like, I didn't forget anything. So then I would be like, well, you need to call the funeral home then if you're offended by the way this was done. And they, I hate to be like, people are dying every day, but the obits never like took time off. So like,
No.
it would be like on a Thanksgiving, and I would have to run back to a computer at like my parents' house or something and make sure that no obits came in for the day or check in. So I really do hope they do that, because like obits, like they have, I don't remember what we even called him now, the technical term, but you could do like the free version where it was just like almost like a news brief is something where it's not an article. There's a technical term that thankfully I'm starting to remove myself from this reporter life and I can't remember, that you would do those, or they would pay to have like the big one in the
big
paper.
write up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's just something that's probably, you could say they keep the papers alive.
Yeah, I think that, and I also think just more interaction with the public is probably things that I'd like to see, especially like you said, council meetings, covering local elections, that kind of stuff.
One of the things that I really liked about Parks and Rec, another show in the same kind of vein as The Office, the documentary style show, I guess, was their public forums. And I remember people being like, oh, these are so unrealistic. No, they are very realistic. I have been in public forums where people say the most wild, unhinged things. And yeah, it's just, it's a small town living, which I know that's set in Toledo, which not necessarily isn't a small town.
That's a small town to a lot of people.
But to a lot of people, it probably is. And it's the whole like vein of like the struggling newspaper. So while I like the characters, I feel like all like the little inside things, like that first joke, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler. Because I don't think a lot of people understand what it means unless you've been, and that's where the one that you said I laughed at. We meet Mare. She's one of the main characters, and she's like, okay, right now I need to fill some space on this page, so I'm just gonna pull whatever fits from the version of The Wire that we pay for, and she just like randomly moves it over, and I'm like, yes. I did that all the time. When you needed to fill the space, I just pull something from The Wire and go about my day. And it's just one of those things that like, yep, well, that's what you get. And then also where we meet Ned, who I just see him as the Weasley guy.
Yeah.
And from Star Wars. I don't know what that actor's name is.
I think it's Domhnall Gleeson.
I'm just like, Weasley.
I want to say Donald Gleeson, but I know it's not. There's an H in his first name somewhere that's really throws me off.
He does a very good American accent.
He does.
He comes on as the editor. They bring him in as the editor of the paper, and everything he starts saying that he wants to do, less wire stories, more local news. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Because when I worked for the newspaper, I felt like I was in a constant battle. I'm like, the way you sell and you keep local, like we know that print media is a dying art with online, but the way you get people to buy newspapers is they want to see their kids doing something fun, like their kids that won an award. They want to see stuff like that. Local news can survive if you really put an emphasis on it. The problem is, which we're finding on this show, is funding.
Right.
So the way basically it's like him and like two other people. And
some volunteers.
Yeah, because the corporation of the paper, we have like the newspaper, but then they also sell toilet paper. So we have like a whole other division of sales, and just the paper is one tiny part of it, which it used to be when they kind of talk about at the beginning, a much larger part of this company, but now it's a very small part.
And I think the tie-in is this company, Softies,
bought
Softies. Dunder Mifflin.
Yes.
And so that's kind of how we got here.
From Scranton to Toledo.
From Scranton to Toledo.
And we do have Oscar
yeah.
from The Office. He chose to move to Toledo. He's kind of your Office connection. But I felt like one of my criticisms before the show was when I saw how many staff members they had. I'm like, a struggling paper would not have that many reporters. At one point, it was like me and one other person. And then there was a period of time where I was the paper and editorial. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, we wonder why I have PTSD. And I was like, how are they going to pull it off? And they answered it like immediately. We have the couple people that work for the actual paper. And then he's like, well, I want to do all these things. And kind of the Softies corporate people are like, well, yeah, well, good luck with that. And he's like, well, who wants to volunteer and write some stories? Do I think eventually they could maybe get some paid positions for these people? Yes. I think realistically they need to focus a little bit more on the ads, because we have the one guy that does ads.
Yes.
Ads are in the whole relationship with the ads and editorial was really funny too for me. I could just go on and on and on about all the technical stuff, but what I think people want to know is, are these characters fun?
Yeah.
I think these characters have potential. They're not.
I agree.
Right now, it's hard to compare because we had, I don't know how many seasons of The Office we had, but we had multiple, at least
9.
I was going to say at least 8 or 9 seasons to get to know the characters from The Office. And if you go back and rewatch The Office season 1, you don't know Creed as much or even Kelly as much. You kind of focuses on like the, Jim, the Pam of it all, and Michael Scott, and of course Dwight as a personality. But you don't get to know even like Stanley as much until those, and I feel like it's just so hard to compare a show that so many people love. And I think eventually these characters can be great. But they're not trying like to duplicate. Like you don't have a quote unquote Dwight. You have characters that have similarities to Dwight and Michael, but I think it's really good that they didn't try to make like, this is the Jim, this is the Pam. They didn't do that, and that to me is a good thing.
No, I agree. I agree completely. And I think before we get to the spoilers section here, because I think we're rapidly approaching a point where we're going to have to talk about some spoilers, I did have one question for you regarding this show and The Office, because I feel like this does very much have that exact same kind of styling of The Office, where they're a documentary crew and they're in talking to people. But I do think they've updated and tweaked a few things. I don't remember, but only like a small handful of times on The Office where they referred to the camera crew. I know that they always do the interview section and they're talking to them, and that's obvious. But when they're in the rest of it, like I feel like they're pointing out there are cameras.
They do in the later seasons
a lot more often than they were on The Office.
They do in the later seasons.
Yeah, okay.
For sure. As it gets more into it, there's like a whole storyline. You didn't watch it as much when Michael left.
That's true, because I do remember Michael when he left taking off his mic and handing it to them, and that was kind of a real acknowledgement of the crew there. But like the very first thing we see, and maybe okay, here's your spoiler warning, everybody. We're going to talk spoilers now. I'm going to give you a 5 count. 5. There's your 5 count. I'm not actually going to count it. The
5,
very
4, 3,
first,
2, 1.
The very first thing that the very first thing we see from that perspective is like, as soon as Oscar sees those cameras walk into the office, he like stands up and he's like, "No, I'm not doing this again," and walks out. And he's like, "I am not doing this again. You cannot get me to sign these contracts." And then they do a quick, really funny thing where they put on the screen, Oscar actually signed the contract he signed in like 2005.
2005, yep.
It has no end date on it. It's
ago.
completely binding, and I just thought that was really funny.
And you could tell that. I feel like to reiterate your point, some of the other characters like Esmeralda and Mare, I think, kind of address the crew at times, but it's really mostly Oscar doing that, and I think that's because he has that familiarity with them, and I love that bit. I really liked how it opens. So this is your office, this is your Scranton connection. Bob Vance Refrigeration. What line of work are you in, Bob? So we see Bob Vance talking about what happened to the company in Scranton, and he kind of explains that, got sold, they got offered jobs to move to Toledo. Why would Phyllis ever want to move to Toledo? And then we get to see that Oscar took that job. And of course, Oscar does come around.
And I think that leaves room open for other people to come in. Again, I don't want that. I don't want this to be a show where it's just every season we're waiting for another Office person
to be like organic
to pop in. But organically, like we know Oscar probably is still friends with like.
Well, we know he's friends with Stanley. We get a Stanley mention right away because Oscar first he's like, I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to help the paper at all. And then he makes like a Sudoku like puzzle. And you see that he's on the phone with Stanley. And then perhaps the most meaningful reference that we get is in the very last episode. It's the last episode, correct?
Yeah.
Where he does the Michael Scott quote, which is like, you could make 100 shots and miss every time. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. Is that I don't know if I've
No, he said you miss 100% of the shots you don't make.
That's what it
which
is.
He said was, some great person said this. And
he was also an idiot.
And he said, and also some idiot I knew once.
Yeah, that's kind of how he said it. So there's your little wink from Michael Scott. And I really did. And I think that's definitely sprinkled in there for the Office fans. But yeah, if it's organically done and they could get somebody to come in, I could see them like bringing like Daryl in. Like that would make sense.
I could see Kevin, Because I think Kevin worked in accounting with Oscar, so they would have more of a relationship.
They need to have a chili cook-off and invite people to come participate. And Kevin needs to get redemption so that we can actually taste his chili. We've all seen the meme. If you're an office person, even if you're not an office person, you've probably seen the meme of Kevin spilling the chili.
Yeah.
That would be funny. A good way to work it in. But I'm glad that it's not trying to be The Office and that it's its own thing. Let's talk about the credits. The opening credits hurt my soul. Somebody that wrote for the papers. Basically, it shows people doing anything with a newspaper but reading it.
Yep.
And our little co-host here, Marvin, there's a schnauzer peeing on one of the newspapers in the scene. And we're like, a schnauzer! We totally both did the Leo point.
We did. I thought that was a really, really good way to not just have a good opening credits, but kind of to illuminate. It really is like illuminating what the show is about, because that's what, like, I think it does two things. It shows you kind of what print media has become these days, but it also shows you, like, all of those are old pictures. And people were always doing that stuff with newspapers. Yeah. Newspapers are important. Like, what do you do anytime your shoes are wet and you want to help dry them out? You stuff a bunch of newspapers
I go say, hey, go get some of the issues that I don't care to save down in the basement.
Yeah, you've got a huge box of ripped papers down in the basement, and we always take out the sports section or take out, some other thing. We try to save the articles, the front pages that you've got your name on.
Yes. My byline. Thank you.
So let's talk about...
They had the whole byline joke.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. No, a byline is, and I'm like, see, the little bits of the paper humor really...
Yeah. So let's talk about, I think, what's probably got a lot of people through the season and what's probably got a lot of people looking forward to the season. Let's go ahead and just talk about the main... I don't even know if this is the main ship of the show or not.
There's kind of two ships.
There's kind of two.
Maybe three.
If
you think about Esmeralda and Ken.
No, you're right. But we've got the main character, what's his name? Ned.
He's
and
the
Mayor.
Editor, and Mayor. So Mayor's technically his employee.
Yeah, and they stretched that out, made it really awkward all season, and then there at the last shot of the last episode, they kiss.
Now kiss. And then we have Nicole and Dedrick, I can't say his name, the guy from Ads.
Yeah.
And then King clearly likes Esmeralda, who Esmeralda just likes herself, and Jarson.
That relationship is Esmeralda, you knowing that he likes her and using it to her advantage.
Yes. I would say the main ship, and I don't think you can even say the Jim and Pam, because they don't give me Jim and Pam vibes at all. You are correct. It's Ned and Mayor, and they meet. They instantly connect. And you could tell that Mayor was somebody that started off for this job, probably having an enthusiasm, thinking, I've been there, thinking that she can change the world with journalism, and then realizes, oh, maybe not. And I think by him coming in with his enthusiasm for it, and he had spent time in sales because his dad, I think, had a connection with the company, and then his dad cheated on his mom, so now he's taking the opportunity. They hire him on to not be the sales guy, to be the editor, and he gets to do something that he's wanted to do. They actually, and it is in Ohio, so it makes sense. He graduated from Ohio University, which is known as a journalism school, so again, another little journalism reference there. And I think at first they connect because he is able to reinvigorate that passion that she has and gets her excited about writing again.
Yeah.
And he's super into it. And there's definitely a lot of awkward moments, like you said, along the way. They almost, in a way, I feel like with some of the awkwardness are more Andy, Aaron. Like, they're not as weird as Andy and Aaron were, but just some of the misunderstandings. I definitely think they are, if I would say, the main ship. I think with a 10-episode season, and maybe when they filmed, they weren't sure if they were going to get a season 2, I personally would have held off on the kissing.
I agree.
I think it was a little rushed. I don't think you need to drag it seasons. Like, it doesn't need to be a Mulder Scully thing where you drag it forever. But I do think it was a little bit rushed. But there are people, and I'm usually one of them, that watch the shows for ships. In this case, that wasn't what I was watching this show for. Do I think they have chemistry? Yes. When they sold it for me was the episode towards the end where they were arguing and yelling at each other. I was like, okay, now I see romantic chemistry between them. By getting that season 2, and also, he is technically her boss.
They're gonna need to pump the brakes.
I think they're either gonna do what you were saying, they're gonna pretend to fake date, or they're going to come up with something about like, office romances.
What trope?
Whatever they'll do, I think they will kind of pump the brakes on them, or maybe they'll surprise me and they'll just be together and we'll focus on other shenanigans. I don't know.
For me, it's what trope are they going to pull out of the basket?
Yeah.
Is it going to be how can we keep our relationship a secret, or is it going to be the boss employee relationship and have the HR people come in and tell them something? Or is it going to be we're out there, we let it be known, and everybody else starts accusing Mayor of getting preferential treatment?
And I think Ned is an ethical person and really worried about image, and I could see him being like, we hooked up, because they indicated that they were going to do more than just kiss.
Yeah,
I could see him just shutting it down, and then having the awkwardness there taking place, and then almost like a Leslie Ben situation where they weren't able to date for a little bit because of like the whole she was on the campaign, and then you can't fight those feelings. They could go that way. I'll say this with them. One of the things that I liked about Ned and Mare is that I feel like in shows, it tends to always be the guy that's doing the chasing. And while I think he did like her, she was the aggressor. She was the one that was like, basically kiss me, essentially.
Yep.
She was the one that was trying to get him to admit that he had feelings those last couple episodes. And I think that's a refreshing change to give the woman kind of that power. And it's so trite to always watch the man be the one that's chasing. It's boring. We've seen it 1,000 times. I liked it that they switched it up. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. I thought it was good. I thought, from Ned's perspective, if she hadn't have pushed, I don't think he was ever going to do anything.
I don't think he was ever going to go there. And I completely agree.
And I hope that continues as a storyline into season 2, because I think that's an interesting dynamic that could go some interesting places between the two with getting them together so early. I really don't want to see the situation where they just go and like do the classic into season 2, they break up and like, unless it's forever, you know what I mean? It's such a trident thing when they get them together so early. And so, I hope they go an interesting direction with it.
And then the other ship, the Nicole situation, and I can't say his name, the guy from the sales guy, whatever. I'm not really into it. I'm not into it. She seemed to get upset at the end because he was finally like, I think she wanted to not commit to anything, and then she realizes that he wasn't seeing anybody else, and he's like, I think he just got fed up with it, like her wishy-washy attitude, so he's like, fine, we're done. And then suddenly, it's like, you always want what you can't have. Yeah. She's upset. I have no feelings on it either way. If they want to be together, fine. If not, fine. Whatever.
So I agree with you generally about it not. Yeah, they definitely give toxic. I agree with you about it not being much. Although I do think they now have an opportunity with the with the crash out that she had over it. We have some opportunity to inject some personality into her.
Yes.
In next season, that wasn't. I'm not saying she lacked personality or was a boring character, but she was very. She kept her emotions close.
She kind of reminded me in a way of April from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, yeah, like she was very tightened up and kept a front. There's something back there, and I think hopefully they'll be able to explore that now that this has happened, and so we'll see a little bit more of emotion out of her over the course of hopefully the new season.
On Parks and Rec with April, we were just doing a rewatch of it. April was always a very emotional character. That's what made it so funny, almost the way she presented herself. You started to peel those onions back, so I think that could be good. And as for Ken and Esmeralda, just give me like an Angela and Dwight type. I know we say we don't want to compare, but just give me something wacky. I'm fine with it. Now that we had, oh my God, I don't know what the actor's name is, but from Lost.
Oh, yeah.
The guy, why am I blanking on his... Josh Holloway, that's his name, right? Yep. He's also on Yellowstone, show we don't watch. But he showed up in the episode because they have a whole episode dedicated, which is very relevant now, to being scammed and catfished. And we realize that she's also seen Jarson and giving Jarson money. And the girl that plays Esmeralda, if you will know her from season 2 of The White Lotus, by the way. Yep. She was the hotel manager.
And her character...
She's way funnier in this show.
Her character is going to be one of those, I think, very polarizing characters. Yeah. People are either going to think she is hilarious, or they are going to... Every storyline that features her, they are going to hate it with their depth of their
I think she's hilarious. If they had continued to make her like villainy going after Ned.
Yeah.
And they had driven that plot home more and more and more, that would have gotten tired. I would have been exhausted by that. But they've since kind of switched gears. She's still self-serving, obviously,
Sure.
but they've kind of pulled off of that. I would be fine with her and Ken eventually someday getting together.
Yeah. So she was. I have to admit, she was grating on me the first couple episodes.
But she got better.
But she got better. She did get better. Yes. So, overall, I mean, I think we're both very pleased. I think we're both very excited.
Just for the show.
Yeah, very excited. Oh, does that mean I have to watch Love Island?
Probably. You promised you would.
I said I wasn't going to
We have a whole month of Peacock to get our money's worth.
Okay. Go watch The Paper. It's good. Either watch it on Peacock, or if you don't have Peacock, it's going to be coming on NBC.
Yeah.
On a weekly release. Give it a watch. I think it's worth your time.
And just be open to it.
Yeah, it's not The Office,
Don't expect
but
The
it is in the
Office.
same genre of The Office. And I think you'll like it.
They definitely develop, like we said, the characters a bit more and more. That's my problem with only 10 episodes. And I feel like we need more. So hopefully it doesn't take too long for season 2.
All right, well, that is The Paper. And next up, we've got a season and series finale for you. The Summer I Turned Pretty, season 3.
And other breaking news. So The Summer I Turned Pretty officially ends our The Summer I Turned Vulcan series, but maybe not. I don't know. And season 3 finale, episode 11. So good. So good. It opens up immediately with Conrad going to Belly's apartment. So finally, Bonrad reunites. Belly got the haircut. I will say that haircut, it looked to me like they didn't use a wig necessarily, that they tucked it under, because Lola, I think, had cut her hair shoulder length, but they gave her this bob. But it wasn't like awful looking, but it was distracting to me. I wish that they had either just actually had her cut it or styled it a little different. But regardless of that, all of the Bonrad scenes, no notes. 10 of 10. I got to see them. First, it was kind of awkward at first, as it would be. Because, you know, that is the guy that said he was in love with you right before your wedding, and then you ran off to Paris, and you guys haven't seen each other in over a year. And I liked that it was sort of awkward. But then as they both loosened up, it was so good. And just you can just tell that they are just a Bonrad connection. That is why it is the ship. That is why it is their story. And it was awesome. I loved watching them go around Paris together. Then they had me literally like clutching the chair of the seat that I was in during the love scene. We finally got a really good Bonrad love scene. As soon as Taylor Swift's Dress started playing, I knew we were in for us a time. And it was hot. It was steamy. It was beautiful. Loved it. Basically, almost what I predicted. I believe on the last episode, I said that I thought that he was going to go see her in Paris. They were going to have a great time, but then they might split. And because Belly was going to, you know, pull some crap and be like, you know, I can't be with you right now. I'm still finding myself. And then I thought that they were going to part ways and that she would see him and Cousins down the road. So I was wrong about the last part. But they did fake me out for a second because I'm looking at like the runtime of this episode. I'm like, oh gosh. I was like, we don't have much time left. And suddenly, you know, after they sleep together, Belly like has her little bit of a freak out. But in a way, it was a good freak out because they addressed something very important. It's always been Susanna, the boy's mother, was always like, you and Conrad are like destined to be together, which I always thought was a little odd to put that on like kids. And it was always weird to me, and I didn't love that that was part of it. And Belly's like, do you really love me, or are you just doing it because that's what your mom wanted? And I feel like it needed to be addressed. And he's like, you think that I'm doing all of this for my mom? He's like, I've changed everything about myself, but the one thing I can't change or whatever, he said, I'm paraphrasing here, is like how I feel about you. And it was so good. It was infinity. They are infinity. It's a Bonrad thing. You guys, the people that watch this show would know. But they faked me out for a minute. I was like, oh no. I was like, this might actually end with her choosing herself. I'm like, I'm going to get out my notepad now and start, you know, alerting the media. Like, what is going on? But it was a brief fake out. Conrad leaves to go take the 5 a.m. train back to Brussels. That's where his doctoring.
That's where he does his doctoring?
Yeah, he has his conference there. And Belly, you see her see Junior Mint. That's the bear that he won for her. And I really liked that, by the way. And when Belly, this shows again that Belly has always been an unreliable narrator. When she told the story about Junior Mint when she got it, she said that the only reason Conrad won it was because he felt bad for flirting with somebody. But you see it from they did a flashback to that scene. You see it from his perspective that he was just trying to win it for her, and we always knew that. But you see, she looks at the bear, she lifts up, and there's the infinity necklace that Conrad gave her for her birthday years ago. That is, and Conrad didn't see the necklace because it was under the scarf. It's like Junior Mint just like reunited his parents. She sees it. Then her mom texts her a picture of her birthday when she was younger, and she just has an epiphany, and she realizes, like, it's okay. I want him in like every lifetime, and she goes after him. And at first I was like, this better not be a dream sequence, because they start playing Taylor Swift. Are we out of the woods? Are we out of the woods? And she literally runs. I don't know how she had time to change into jeans and the tank top and get in the car and catch that train, but whatever. And you see her running through the train. You know how I love me a good chase scene.
Sure.
And she sees Conrad, and she's like, she gives him the speech like, it's you. I want you in every lifetime. I choose you of my own free will. I choose you. And then they kiss, and it was awesome. And I've seen a lot of people, and I screenshotted this, being like, some of the haters are like, I just wanted Belly to choose herself, or, she doesn't have her agency. And it says, the show was literally Belly choosing herself. Yes, she does realize she loves Conrad without denying it, but she also realizes that she loves herself. When she says she loves the girl with brown eyes and brown hair, she chooses herself. She chooses to love herself, which means loving Conrad and not hating the person she grew up to be. Because she had a lot of self-loathing. She was like, I was the villain in this story. And a lot of people have said she was the villain in the story. And when she and Conrad are actually talking about that, as they're going around Paris, he's like, we were just kids. And I felt that was really, it needed to be said. So she realizes that, it says she chooses to love herself, which means loving Conrad and not hating the person she grew up to be. Her self-sabotage, which was a huge reason why she couldn't get herself to be with Conrad, turned to self-love. Her running to Conrad was not just for Conrad, but for herself, and I love that. And then there's another little sentence in there, which I'll get to in a minute. But it was great. I loved it. I was very excited about it. She says later in the voiceover, I didn't make it back to Cousins that summer, but then I did eventually come back, and it's her and Conrad in the car on the way to the beach house, and then it shows them standing in front of the beach house, and the camera pulls away. The other group, I basically won with all my ships, never lost. Except for one time for a terrible show that was awful. Steven and Taylor, they had already gotten back together, but I was worried they got them back together too early. And I'm like, Jenny, you better not pull some crap. They had like the best scene ever. We find out that Steven and Denise, their little startup company, that they have gotten money, but it's going to have them moving to California. And Taylor's like, freaks out about it because she finds out before Steven tells her. And they kind of have a little bit of an argument, but then he's like, I don't want to ask you to move for me. And she's like, I wouldn't be moving for you. She's like, I know this is your dream. She's like, I'd be moving for us because I finally believe in us now. And now I'm obsessed with this song. God, what is it called? I've been making you listen to it like nonstop now.
Well,
so
it's a good question. I have song blindness, so
but you know movies.
Sure.
The song is called Everywhere, Everything. It's by Noah Kahan. I don't know his name, but Gracie Abrams, who I love, is on there. And they played that. We have our beautiful sailor scene. And guess what, guys? I figured out I don't hate Jeremiah when he's not being annoying and ruining Bonred and being a baby and a man-child around Belly. Because of the time and distance, Jeremiah in the last episode, I liked him better. He's been able to grow and really become his own person finally at last. And now we know why he was so obsessed with the wedding cake and like the chocolate thing, because he has aspirations to be a chef. So he has like this whole like chef dinner thing that they have at the Cousins beach house. Like this is like a whole other separate story where Belly and Conrad are in Paris. And I actually love Jeremiah now. I don't love him, but I like him and I'm rooting for him. And Jeremiah and Denise, baby. Last week they had, or the last episode before the finale, they had some scenes and I'm like, I could see it. I didn't know if I had read some leaks that they were going to be in game, and I'm like, how is this going to work? The chemistry off the charts. They've had more chemistry in their few scenes than he had in 3 seasons with Belly. So they finally kissed. But, I don't know if it's going to be anything serious, but because he's like, I'm really glad that we met. And he's like, and now suddenly I'm regretting myself for not doing this. And she's like, doing what? And he kisses her and he's like, oh, shouldn't I have not done that? And then she kisses him and they start laughing. He's like, what, are you laughing because you're kissing Nepo baby? That's what she called him when they were both working at his dad's office. And she's like, no, I'm laughing because Nepo baby's kissing me. And also Denise calls him out on his crap, which is great. He was talking kind of about Conrad and he's like, oh, whatever, you were impressed with Conrad and everything. And she's like, dude, you're the one that seems obsessed with Conrad. Cut it out. So it seemed like we have somebody that's going to choose Jeremiah first, which if you're a Jeremiah fan, you should be happy with Jeremiah's arc, whether it's with Denise or him growing up. This is something that's always got on my nerves with shows. And I'm going to call out the Vampire Diaries fandom, another famous brother love triangle. Everybody that claims that they're a Stefan fan, but then is so angry about Stelena, you don't like Stefan. I said what I said. Elena was always, pretty much constantly, at least by the end of season 1, going forward, I looking at Damon, she was always had that connection with Damon. You just couldn't deny it. If you're such a Stefan fan, why would you want Elena with Stefan when she clearly had feelings for Damon? Why would you want that? So this is the same situation. So the weirdos that ship jellyfish, why would you want Jeremiah with somebody that stunts his growth and that doesn't love him the way he deserves to be loved? So for my shipping, I totally won all the ships. So that made me very happy. I would consider that a pretty good finale. The only thing that I wanted more of, I would have liked to have seen another jump forward in the future with everybody together, because Belly and Conrad basically had their own entire storyline going on, and we didn't get to see the whole group back. I would have liked to have ended it with a flash forward of the Jeremiah, Conrad, Steven throwing Belly in the pool for the belly flop, which they did in season 1 and 2. But I was like, you know what? They didn't do that, whatever. So the credits roll, we have this letter from Jenny Han of the thanking fans, but then saying maybe we'll meet in Cousins again. I'm like, And then we have this montage of all these pictures of Bonrad at Christmas time, because, Belly, Conrad, their thing was always Christmas. And we're like, So I finished this episode, and I'm like, could we get more? Because there's been theories, about basically what we do with the Taylor Swift stuff, with the Easter eggs. Like, will we get some extra episodes? Well, I think I was done for the episode, and later that day, the announcement's made, and we're like, it's happening! So here's some breaking news! Y'all thought I was done with this show? No, we're getting The Summer I Turned Pretty, the movie! Woo!
Have they announced who's going to be playing the different cast members yet?
No, it's going to be the same. Lola and Chris are already signed on.
I know
I'm pretty
that.
Sure
I understand. I know.
Daniel, this is why you're not allowed to talk when I watch this show. It's very important to me. So we're getting the movie. Now, a lot of us are trying to theorize when that's coming out. We're like, have they already filmed scenes? Because Jenny Han specifically said that it's not coming next year. So we're like, well, what if it's this year on December 14th? I think that it's probably wishful thinking. And she was like, oh, well, it's not made yet. I was like, well, made means it might not be edited yet. Maybe we'll get it. But she has since doubled down and says that she wants to wait a couple years to let the actors even age a little bit, because we're going to be showing it's going to be Belly and Conrad, the next chapter of their lives. So we're hoping it's like The Wedding, which they have in the book. But yeah,
what did I say?
Could be 2027. Maybe.
What did I say when you told me all this? I think I said, well, they're going to mess with your ships a little bit.
No, she says she's not going to.
Well, they're going to have some drama involved.
I'm sure, but it's not going to. But Bonrad will be together. They're not going to Belly's not going to go date Jeremiah again.
No, I
think they might address how that, even though Belly, Conrad, Jeremiah are all in a better place. I think that they will address the awkwardness, because Jenny Han said that in an interview, what's it like when you are marrying or dating your brother's ex? Like, how do you navigate family dynamics? Which, I mean, I guess we technically already did with.
So they're just making the family stone.
No, but that's a great movie. That's a great movie. I do love The Family Stone. But I'm really excited for the movie. I was hoping that we get some extra episodes tacked onto this season. But I think that's going to, like, for those of us that, there were some people that were kind of upset about the finale because they feel rushed. And now we know, like I said, I could have been satisfied with that finale and been like, all right, all my ships worked out. There's hope for the future. But now I'm really excited. So I'm not going to stop talking about this movie. It's just going to continue to be my personality.
You are going to stop talking about it right now.
I guess.
Now, loyal listeners, as you are aware, we've been watching Only Murders in the Building and Peacemaker. We don't have a ton about either of those to talk about tonight, so we're going to kind of skip over that and hold into our next episode. But what we are going to get into...
Wait a minute. I have to say one thing about the Peacemaker.
Okay.
If Chris, a.k.a. Peacemaker, played by John Cena, makes my precious Adrian Vigilante cry one more time, we're going to have words.
Okay, that's a threat from you to John Cena,
I guess.
Okay.
Bird or James Gunn. Bird blindness. That's all.
But we did watch Dancing with the Stars premiere,
yes.
And I have to just go ahead and give myself an applause.
Oh, you had you didn't take. That's like the easiest route to assume that Robert Irwin was going to be number one. Come on,
why?
It's not even a hot take. A hot take would have been like, I think whatever his name is, Dancing with Emma Slater. The guy that was on Conan, Andy Richter.
I seem to remember last episode when we gave our predictions and you told me that you weren't so sure that was a good pick. So now you're turning around and telling
you're acting like it's some phenomenal pick. I just said, can he dance?
Yes, the answer to that question is yes.
Apparently he can. I think we were both like, I feel like my prediction, Whitney, was right up there with yours. I think she and Robert, had the highest scores of the night than Whitney.
Yes.
So I think those are definitely going to be finalists. If Robert can continue to dance well, this show historically, the women love to vote for the men on this show. And if he can continue to dance well, I think he can beat Whitney. I think it's going to come down to the technicality, the dances, the scoring. Can she bring in the votes? I'm not sure. But yeah, I still think I tried to not give the obvious answer. But yes,
I'm trying to win.
Apparently,
I'm trying to win the competition by picking the person that I think is going to win Dancing with the Stars.
So you just assumed that he was going to be a great dancer.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. Just because his sister danced, I didn't know.
Well, it could have been a gamble. Yes, that's what I mean. That's why I'm saying I'm a genius.
He came out guns blazing.
It could have been a gamble, and he came out and immediately cemented himself as a contender.
I feel like there's room for growth. Certain people that I thought could have been better than they were, Scott and Riley, I thought could have done better, but I think there's potential. But he did look kind of awkward. Jen, and I'm sorry, I'm turning my Swiftie card for a second. I called him Jan on the podcast. It's Jan. It's his first season. He was on Taylor Swift's Eras tour. I actually liked their content when they were dancing. They had too many tricks, too many lifts. I agree with the judges. Can we just say it was weird that Carrie Ann was out and there was only 2 judges? They should have had somebody fill in last minute. That was awkward.
Yeah, and I don't know if
it didn't hit.
I don't know if Derek and Bruno were like playing it up or they were really having a bunch of trouble. But
yeah.
if they weren't like doing something on purpose, then maybe Carrie Ann is over there actually keeping people in line.
I have
because
no idea.
It was a weird judging situation.
Also, Ezra and Jordan, I thought could have been better than they were. And I think he, again, leaned into too much of that. Like, I think he's probably excited because he got somebody that can do a lot.
Yeah.
There was too many gymnastics, flips, and tricks, less dancing, and I think she can dance. So I think those are things that need work. I'm just too much of an empath to watch, like, the dancers like Andy and even Corey, because I feel so bad for them when they get, like, bad scores because they're out there trying and it's hard. So that's always really hard for me to see. Like, last year with Reginald, Carl Winslow, like, it was, even though he took like 2 steps.
He was just on a brisk walk most of the time, most of the dance routines.
The girl from Fifth Harmony, I knew she would be good, but I feel like Lauren, I think everybody's like acting surprised with her. I'm like, all the Fifth Harmony ladies have done well, so that's not a major hot take. I'm trying to think of anybody. Oh, Elaine Hendricks. That was probably my favorite dance of the night. And she does have dance background as well. Elaine and Alan, they well fed for the Parent Trap fans.
Oh, okay, that's Parent. Okay,
they did the opening with Meredith in the hat. They did the little handshake, but I thought she did really great too. Like that was a fun, entertaining dance. It might have been not the best technical dance, but I think it was my favorite of the night.
I think she'll be around for a while.
I hope so. I think her thing will be just when you are older, the injuries seem to happen more. But I like the cast. I think it's really good. We have a lot of good theme nights. We're getting Disney night back. We're getting the Halloween night, but we're getting Wicked night. If they don't have Robert Irwin do Dancing Through Life, what are we really doing here? Come on.
I can't opine on that. I have no opinion on it, but I'll take your word for it. So yeah, that's Dancing with the Stars. A little brief update. They didn't do an elimination for night one, which I am on board with. I think that's always terrible when you bring these people in and put them through all this, and then they have to go out and do this thing, and then somebody gets eliminated the first time. I think
we are getting a double elimination. Yeah, double elimination tonight. Who do you think it's going to be?
I think Corey Feldman is gone. I just don't think he's got the votes. I just don't. I unless there's like a bunch of secret Corey Feldman fans out there that I'm not aware of.
Stand by Me in the Goonies.
I just don't see it.
I think Andy's going to get enough fans.
I think Andy's going to stick around just because he was technically just as bad as Corey, but his
funny.
his ability to do the acting part of the dance put him up a leg, and I think people will keep him around because funny old guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The one person we didn't bring up in this conversation is Hilaria Baldwin, who is an excellent dancer.
She could literally be a pro. Everybody that always has dance experience, I think she's the first one with ballroom experience. She apparently beat Emma.
Yeah, but I don't. Nobody knows who she is.
Yeah,
I don't think she'll go out tonight.
No,
but I do think. She's going to be one of those.
She's going to be a finalist.
She's going to be one of the people who goes out way earlier than her dancing ability dictates, because I just don't think she's got any juice
I think
in
her
her fan base.
scores will save her from being one of the first ones out.
Yeah.
But also, it's probably I felt like Alec Baldwin looked miserable.
Yeah,
he just had a blank stare the whole time. Maybe he was happy on the inside. I don't know. Maybe he was that Outback. I want to go to there from 30 Rock. I don't think it's going to be the two lowest scores, though. I kind of agree with you. I think it'll probably be Corey. And then I feel like no one's talking about the basketball player guy. Do a lot of NBA people vote?
I could see him going too. He didn't dance that bad, but I don't think he's got anybody.
He's kind of mid-tier. I don't know.
NBA's not playing right now, so I don't know if they're paying attention or not. I really can't tell.
We shall see. But in other reality TV show news, Special Forces comes back this week.
I'm excited. Johnny
I'm
Manziel,
very
baby.
Excited.
I'm excited to see what happens. I love that show. If you're not watching Special Forces, you are missing the best reality television show on TV by a mile. So you need to get out there.
Traitors won an Emmy.
I don't care. Don't give me this Traitors crap. I don't care about Traitors. It's a garbage show for garbage people. I'll see you all.
Half of our listeners tell us to watch Traitors, and you just called them. Apologize for saying garbage people. You just offended half our listeners.
Are you all really offended? Or do you know that you like the garbage?
I mean, I love trash TV, so.
Traitors is terrible. See y'all.